The opinions and statements made by the guests of the Success in Practice podcast are their own, and I do not endorse or accept responsibility for their positions. Any information given by myself or the guests is educational in intention and not to be taken as medical advice. If you choose to act on the content involved in the podcast, you do so at your own risk. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Success in Practice podcast. Today, I'm joined by Elliot Chudleigh. Elliot helps osteopaths, chiropractors, physios, and clinic owners grow their clinics without depending on marketing agencies. After spending years running marketing inside multi-million-dollar clinics, and he's in England, based in England, which he would say multi-million-pound clinics, including opening clinics fully booked from day one. He now teaches clinic owners how to build simple systems that consistently bring in new patients. His work focuses on clarity, control, and sustainable growth rather than hype or complicated marketing. I came to know Elliot through a Facebook ad that he put out, which kind of gathered my interest because I had, come to use a few different agencies over the last, 10 to 15 years. And the problem that I faced was that, in the beginning, they would really kind of deliver, but then as the consistent stream of money that you would spend with them, month in, month out, you kind of got palmed off to somebody, or that I just didn't feel like I was, attention was being paid. And so, understanding the process myself became quite quite a challenge, but also something that I wanted to do. And then Elliot's ad popped up, and I guess that shows you that he knows how to put the ad in the right place in front of the right person. And then we got in contact, we had a chat, and I started off with Elliot, I think in the early stages, and still here a year and a bit into it. And it's been good. It's been great. My experience has been fantastic. And I will, talk to Elliot today and find out how he can help clinic owners achieve the marketing, outcomes that they're after without spending exorbitant amounts of money on agencies. And even if you did want to spend money on an agency, it's best that you know how the process is done, so that when you sit there and audit what the agency is doing for you, you have a clear idea of what's going on, and you can at least then get the outcomes that you want from the agency. So either way, I think Elliot's here to help. Elliot, thanks for being on the podcast, mate, and welcome from sunny England.
Wow, not so sunny. Thanks for having me. Excited to be on. Yeah, chucking it down here, which is classic England.
Classic England. If you hear a little bit of tapping in the background, people, that's the little raindrops. It's I think 30 degrees today here in Sydney. Elliot's,
no need to rub it in.
Yeah, that's right. And the Ashes, I think, is on at the moment too. We won't talk about that.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Anyway, Elliot, one of the things that people have enjoyed in this podcast series is learning a bit about the osteopaths that I've spoken to. You're not an osteopath yourself, or even, I think, you're not a healthcare professional, but you've worked in healthcare clinics. Before we get into that side of things, tell us about yourself, mate. Where'd you grow up? Tell us about your childhood, schooling, and then what ultimately led you into the marketing space.
So, I grown up on the South Coast UK, the sunnier side of England as much as possible. But I've always been in sport, like health, wellness, sport. I did every sport. My main sport was athletics. So I was a sprinter, a sprint hurdler as well. So I was state champion, things like that for sprint hurdles. I was massively into sport, which then going through, I actually went and did sports science at university. That was my thing. So it's not a marketing background at all. My whole thing has always been wanting to work in sport. My main thing, I wanted to go and work with Formula One drivers and really focus on their sports psychology, because that was one of my main areas of interest as well. So that's where I was really heading to, was to stay in sport, stay in health and wellness, which has then led me onto this path. So when I was at university, that's when I became a personal trainer. So I didn't move away from university. I stayed at home. I worked before going into university. I trained personal training clients, went to uni, and then in the evenings went back into the gym. So that's where I more, like, my whole life has been focused really around health and wellness this whole time. Like, even though I'm marketing side, it's still health and wellness with that now. So yeah, that's been my route in, is just this full focus on sport, health, wellness. Is a big part of what I do, even on a weekly and daily basis right now. Is we're very much a sporty family now.
Mm. And I guess what led you to marketing? Like, you know, I mean, what led you out of the you know, the health and wellness? Well, not out of it, you're still there, but I mean, what took you more towards the marketing side of things?
Good question. So, coming through university, like I said, my aim was to then go and work with Formula One teams, and I wanted to link up with the drivers, start working in motorsport. I love Formula One. And then while I was working in the gym at university at the same time as well, I was like, after I've worked in Formula One or worked in elite sport, I'd love to set up my own gym as well. And then one of my clients said, I've got space. Why don't you just set up a gym now? I was like, cool, may as well. So I may as well do that in the meantime. So then I went into space, set up my own personal training gym, and I had no idea about marketing. That I was completely
What year was
hopeless.
this? What year was this, Elliot?
2016 set it up.
Okay.
So 10 years ago now. So yeah, opened the doors February 1st, 2016. But I had no idea about marketing. I took all of my clients over from the big local gym that I was working at, and I had a decent amount of clients. So I brought all of them over. So we were good, but I wanted to grow it. But I had no idea. And that's when I reached out to marketing agencies. I was like, what can you do to help me grow my gym? And that's when they were like, oh, it's going to be thousands of pounds a month. Um, Obviously, I had no idea about marketing at that time. And I was like, okay, that's a lot of money for a startup gym. And I had literally had no clue. So then I tried a bunch of different things. Like all the people in the fitness space will know of, like Bedros Koulian. I did a load of his stuff. And then that's when I found Alex Hormozy with Gym Launch. And we're talking classic Hormozy 20, 2017, 2018, I joined Gym Launch. So this was before he was anyone like now. Like, this was the first videos I saw in Gym Launch was him sat in his living room with a whiteboard talking. Wasn't this big fancy production that everyone's used to from Alex Hormozy or Gym Launch now. That is then when I saw this like instant shift in the business. Like, it was literally like someone had turned a tap on and we were full. It was wild. Like, we just suddenly made a whole load of money. We had loads of clients in. Like, it was great. And through this journey, that's when I got more interested in the business side and marketing rather than actually owning a gym. And I wanted to go more into the business marketing side because I saw the return it got. And that's what ended up exciting me more than delivering training programs and stuff. So that's then how I got into the marketing side. And I wanted to then grow and expand from being in the gym sector. And I didn't want to just continue growing gyms and stuff because I love working out. I love going to the gym, but I wanted to keep that as that. So that's when I got out of the gym space and then just really focused on marketing side instead.
And I guess I've got a couple of questions here. So the first one is, being in, I guess, the health space or the gym space, you tend not to be, I guess, very numbers focused. You're very maybe either movement focused or people focused. You know, you listen and you learn. Marketing itself, good marketing is very data driven, right? And so how were you able to wrap your head around the data? Like, did you find that was difficult to kind of learn about things like cost per lead, cost per click, you know, client acquisition, lead costs, all these things that, you know, would kind of like just make a healthcare clinician's head steam up a little bit. Did you struggle with that, or how did you wrap your head around that?
I think I'm a little bit odd in that sense. So when I was at college doing we do A levels over here, I did maths, physics, electronics, and PE. So PE and the biology side was the outlier, really. So my brain has always been much more mathematical, logical sense in that way. So for me, it was just like I get that side. I enjoy that side. So yeah, that's where I've almost had this like different approach into the health and wellness side because I am much more numbers focused.
Right. And I guess then what took you towards the more specific healthcare, osteopathy, physiotherapy, chiropractic, physical therapy, the manual therapies, I guess, let's call them for
Yeah.
that. What took you there in terms of clinics, and what was your experience like there? Like, how did you get into that space?
So really, it was pure luck, to be honest. I wanted to always stick doing something in health, wellness, sport, something around that because that's a general passion anyway. So I wanted to go into something that was related to it. I did a bit of work with a big health wellness uh, course company. So they're the biggest in the UK. So I did a bit of marketing with them, but it was very corporate and I just did not enjoy it at all. And then an job opening came up for working in a chiropractic clinic. So that's when I went in and expanded from there. So it was just by chance. I
Yeah.
met with the owners and they're really nice people, got on really well with them. So it's just by chance that I ended up actually getting into this world from what I'd previously done. One of my friends, he was a good physio as well. So I've always had this interest and
Mm.
knowledge of what these other healthcare practitioners do and like how it can implement or like affect athletes and stuff like that as
Mm.
well. So I've always had that interest and knowledge too. But it was just by chance I ended up doing marketing for them.
Yeah. Well, it's been one of the things that, I mean, I found really good with the experience I've had with yourself is that you understand that particular, you understand the lingo, you understand the problems that we have. And, when I come to you with I guess a patient related problem, or a client related problem, in terms of marketing, it's good that you've had that experience in those clinics because, it shows that you understand that and you've been there, and yeah, that really helps. My question to you is that when you were first starting the marketing side within that chiropractic clinic and doing some work for your physio mate, was it just Facebook stuff that you're doing? I mean, explain to us at that point in time. We're probably talking about 2018 here, 2019,
So when I went into clinics, it was 21, 22, something like that.
21, 22, middle of COVID.
Yep.
What was it that, like, where was your work there? Like, was it just social medias platforms? Was it Google? Explain to us the breadth of what your, I guess, job description was.
Yeah. So this was the interesting thing is that when I came on as a marketing manager, my whole role was to manage the agencies we worked with. So we worked with a Google Ads agency, we worked with a Facebook Ads agency, we did in-clinic promotions, we did events, we did a whole bunch of different stuff. So my aim or my role was to manage these agencies and manage our marketing processes.
Right. Okay. Let me cut you off there. So let me get this right. You weren't actually running the ads and doing the copy and doing all that stuff. You were managing the agencies that were doing all that stuff. And so what was the marketing budget like there? That would have been, I mean, they've got to pay you a wage, but then they're paying a monthly fee, I'm assuming, to the agencies that handle Google, the agencies that handle Facebook and so forth. Was that, I mean, that's a massive return. I mean, they would need a huge return on that to make the investment worthwhile. Can you explain that to us a little bit more?
Yeah. So, like I said, the guys I worked for, brilliant. I've got so much respect for them. They built great clinics and stuff like that. So yeah, it was essentially it was a big budget, but we could manage it from the patient care that we had and things like that as well. So in this phase that I was brought in for, the aim was we were setting up a clinic. I think it was like 6 months later. So the aim was to create this plan to be able to set up the brand new clinic. So this was additional one. So then we had a good successful clinic from day one, from opening day for that, which is why I was there to oversee all these different, like all the different events that we were going to be doing over the summer, managing all the talks, managing all the in-clinic promotions, managing these agencies, because the owners didn't have the time capacity being setting up a new clinic, managing everything like that. So it was my role to be able to then manage these agencies and stuff as well. There was no aim for me to take on any of this at all. However, as we were going through, this is what I questioned, because my role coming from owning my own business, I looked at the numbers. Like, I understand, and I wanted to see the return that we were getting. And this is where I didn't understand the return from using an agency. So when we opened up the new clinic, that's when I took on our ads. So I started running all of the Google ads, Facebook ads, things like that as well, because I didn't see the value in spending thousands of pounds per agency per month to do this. I was like, I can do this and I can get a better result, I thought. So that's when I took it on. We managed to fill the brand new clinic with 212 pre-booked, prepaid patients for opening day. Obviously, that wasn't 212 people booked in on day one. They were spread out over the first couple of weeks. But we had all these people booked and paid, ready to go. So when we opened the doors, we were good. We were pretty full for our
So,
practitioners at the
so
time.
where did you learn this, Elliot? I mean, where did you learn? How did you learn to put a Facebook ad together? Obviously, the platform was very different in 2022. Where did you learn to do a Google ad strategy? Where did you learn to do SEO strategies? You know, all these things that you would be required to do. Where did you learn all this?
Just from my whole journey of building the gym and stuff like that, is just essentially doing a whole ton of my work and actually implementing this as well. So, for example, like I said, doing gym launch. I don't know if anyone knows, but gym launch is it's an expensive program to run.
Mm.
So learning all from that. But then I've done work with people like Frank Kern, like actually worked with him. So he's one of the top, if not the modern day godfather of advertising, really, like still in the trenches. He's amazing. But I also done had a bunch of mentors over the time to learn this stuff. Like, I've spent a lot of money to learn how to implement all of this. So then when I became marketing manager, the whole thing was like, I was itching. I wanted to get running some ads. I wanted to actually implement what I knew how to do anyway, which I thought would massively help the business, both in terms of growth, but also bottom line. That if we can cut the cost of an agency, amazing. We would save literally thousands per month, but still get the same, if not way better results. Therefore, win-win.
And what was it like cutting those agencies? Was that your job, or was that the owner's job to kind of have that conversation?
Both really. We were on the same call, and they saw it coming, only because
Yeah.
they knew I was on board and I had these calls with them, and then I was much more on the case and let me see the data, give me all of this and stuff. So they kind of saw it coming. Like, you're
Yeah.
not going to get a marketing manager on board and then think you're going to keep agencies and stuff like that anyway. So it wasn't actually too bad. I still know one of the agency owners that we had and still have a good catch up with him every time I see him.
And so, do you think that agencies at heart know this? And would you say that ultimately it's best to either go with either a good do-it-yourself approach, or at least have somebody that you can work with one-on-one, rather than a bigger? So the bigger the agency, I mean, is that not a good approach for, I guess, clinics to go with?
I personally think, and this is what you see across big businesses as well. So if you work in the corporate world, funny enough, my other half and I, we were watching a program over Christmas. It was about a big drinks brand that we've got over here, and they bought on an agency. But this big drinks brand, they're probably one of the biggest drinks brand in the world. They've got a whole marketing department, but yet they're still bringing in an agency. Because what agencies typically do in these big companies are work on specific projects over a specific timeline. which for this company, as an example, they were bringing out a new flavor of drink, which they wanted, obviously alcoholic drink, that they wanted to be pushing out into marketplace, but they wanted to create a whole like video campaign or Facebook ad strategy around this specific product launch. So they had, called it a 6-month contract with this company. And then after that, it was back to the normal marketing agency who would take over. And that's what I see a lot in clinics. And working as a marketing manager, this is where it led me into the path which I do, which is when I was running the ads, I had full control of the marketing at this point. I was like, we were doing well. We were, on average, we would add over 100 new clients booked in, paid every single month per clinic. So it was a lot of people that we were getting in. And I was like, we're doing well. We're spending all this money on Facebook ads and Google ads and stuff. And I wanted to speak with other marketing managers in healthcare and see what they were doing, and clinic owners, to just bounce ideas. Like I've always seen it as we're not in competition with each other. Our whole aim as clinics, practitioners and stuff should just be about how we can help more people, period. So that's what I wanted to do. But in the UK, I don't think there's any or many marketing managers in healthcare. And then the clinic owners that I did speak to, it was really surprising how many of them just relied on an agency, but didn't really know what was happening or what they could do to actually grow more. Or they were always like, the agency aren't giving us the results we wanted. I'm like, so I'd say to them, and I'd say this to a lot of clinics now, have you spoken to the agency? And they say, oh no, but they should just be doing that. So there's always this disconnect between an agency versus the client. And that's what I was like, this is not fun. When I
No.
initially set up doing this, I had an agency. I did not enjoy it
Mm.
because there was almost like, personally, I felt as an employee in a business, which I did not want. And there's always this mismatch between what they expected and versus what I was doing as well. And that's where it's led me to this thought that really what a clinic should have is get an agency. If you want to get an agency, first off, but learn what they do. So then you can take it on, which is why I set up what I do then. So then I can just deliver that. And where Facebook and Google and things like that change all the time is if you can just help someone, like you're going to need that constant support as well. And that's how it should be. You should just get an agency for a finite period of time, whether it's
Mm.
to launch a brand new clinic or whether it's you've got a new clinician coming on board. You would have a contract for a 3-month period, as an example, where they're going to ramp up all the leads coming in and therefore hopefully sales coming in. So then after that, you can bring the marketing back in-house. And with that, people then start thinking, oh, marketing is really complicated. There's lots of stuff that I need to do. And I don't know how I can manage it and things like that. I'm like, because that's what they've been told potentially by an agency, that an agency would feed them a load of data and say, this is what we're looking at. As a clinic owner, you look at that data and go, holy moly,
Yeah.
what does this mean? Whereas if you just understand the core principles of it, it's actually really simple and it should not need to take too long at all. And therefore, my whole thought process then with this is you should not need to spend thousands per month on a marketing agency, because that's what put me off when I started my first gym business.
Mm.
I couldn't afford to spend thousands per month on a marketing agency. And I felt like I just wanted to help people in our community. I wanted to get more people into my gym so I could help them. I just had no idea how. So that's when I was like, it almost seems illogical that we should need to have this huge investment in a marketing agency initially when you can just keep it all on, keep it in-house. And then from that, the money that you save from spending thousands per month on a marketing agency, you might give to one of your front desk staff for an extra 5 hours a week, for example, or
Yeah.
whatever it is like that.
Yeah. No, look, I think some of the overwhelm comes from, I guess, healthcare manual therapists do a lot of training in their field of practice, and they graduate and they come out and they spend a lot of time honing their skill set. It could be years before they start their own practice. When they do start their own practice, there's a lot going on. It's not just the marketing they have to wrap their head around. It's the accounting, the numbers, the income, the expenditure. Maybe setting up a clinic, doing the actual physical setup of the clinic, maintaining, hiring staff, HR, all that kind of stuff. And then it comes to marketing, and you kind of think, well, there's these agencies out there that do it. So I'm going to find an agency. I'm going to initially, I guess, try to vet them and make sure they're good at what they do. But once I've vetted them and I've got a thing going, it's a set and forget thing. They think I'm just going to set and forget. I've paying someone to do this for me. I'm not going to worry about it. And it may work out, I think, in usually the first few months, it's good. It's like the novice effect. It's like when you've never trained before, and you go and do a bench press, your bench press improves really quickly, It's like when you take on an agency, you've never done marketing before, well, all your numbers are going to improve. You're going to see some people through the door, but then it's going to flatline because, the agencies just put you on a kind of like just an automated kind of system that they have. And then you think set and forget works, but it doesn't.
And
and
this is
yeah,
where I always say with this is one of my first marketing mentors always used to say, you wouldn't outsource a love making in your relationship. Don't outsource marketing in your business, because everyone always says marketing is like a relationship. You wouldn't go on a first date and ask someone to marry you, all that type of stuff as well. And which is why that phrase makes sense. But also with marketing, it is the lifeblood of your business. If you cut off getting new clients in, we get natural attrition. We get natural churn in the business. People finish their care plans. People start feeling better. So they are naturally going to drop out. So if we don't have this new feed of people coming in, eventually the business will collapse because we cannot sustain the current members, which is why it is a crucial part of the business, which a clinic owner should know exactly what is going on and have a full understanding of it. Like one of the key phrases as well, which I always think of, is you should know the skeletons in the closet. Like you should know if there are any issues with marketing, which is why having full control, it's an absolute necessity. I see it as, because it is such a crucial part of running a business.
Yeah, you are correct on that. Also, I mean, the landscape's changed so quickly in the last 30 years. The internet and social media has changed so much to do with that. I remember my mentor, the one that the gentleman that taught me, and the person that used to own the clinic previous to myself. I mean, back in those days, we're talking 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, even when I first started, you just had to be good. And then people would just rant and rave about you, and then your clinic would kind of grow. You have the yellow pages and the white pages and all this kind of stuff, but that was probably the most that you did. That's not something that can be relied upon solely anymore. That might do you well when you've got a base of clients that will go out there and talk about you. But I guess when you're first starting out, you don't have that. And so you need marketing. You need to understand marketing. And not only that, even if you've been practicing for 25 years and you've got people that are seeing you, you want to take on new associates, you want to take on new people. It's much harder to convince people that are seeing you to see them than to get brand new people to see them, because those brand new people have never seen you. And so, yeah, everybody needs to know marketing now. I could make the argument that a long time ago, very experienced practitioners probably could just not worry about it and just have a constant flow from word of mouth referrals. But in this day and age, it's if you're not all over marketing, you're really not setting yourself for good business. So yeah, no, I totally agree there that marketing is the lifeblood. And then obviously part and parcel with that is sales as well. It can sometimes be a dirty word in our profession, but it's a very necessary word, and we need to wrap our heads around it. Especially your front desk in sales, they're there to, and when we say sales, we're not selling anything that isn't of benefit to the public. We're asking people to call our phones to make bookings. And so when they call, how are we not expected to actually engage them and give them a call to action? And so, sales is something that goes hand in hand with that. I will talk to you about that. I guess coming up in our talk today, but I want to ask you about some of the main marketing strategies that clinics use to attract, keep, and grow their patient base. So, tell us the difference. I mean, there's internal marketing strategies, for example, that might be email campaigns, SMS campaigns, and so forth. and client engagement in terms of events. You could run events at your clinic. And then you've got like external marketing, things like Google AdWords, Google SEO, Facebook ads, social media posting. They're more external marketing where you would kind of look at attracting new clients versus existing clients. There is a saying that for every dollar you spend on re-engaging an existing client, you roughly have to spend $6 to $8 on attracting a new client. I would personally agree with that. I'll get your comment on that soon. But can you comment on on all of the above? You know, the internal versus external. Should clinics worry about engaging existing clients versus getting new clients? How do we kind of navigate all that?
Yeah, and it's a really interesting point because people generally come to me and they're specifically focused on Facebook ads, for example. But marketing and what I did as a marketing manager is such a broad depth on what you can and should be doing. And first and foremost, like if you've got a clinic full of people, make the most. It's going to be the cheapest and easiest way because marketing, the best way to market your clinic still is and will always be word of mouth. People come in from word of mouth, from referrals, are going to be way more engaged. They are way easier than anyone coming in from any other source. That will not ever change. That is a golden rule in any business. But if we want to grow, if we want to get more practitioners on board, if we want to open up second, third, fourth, fifth clinic, then we've got to have a means to be able to get out to the public without relying on word of mouth because from different practitioners versus like a clinic owner, they're going to be very different in the way which they ask for referrals. So if you are a clinic owner, you may see this in your team as well. But
Yeah.
all the different ways in which we can market these loads. So,
and I guess sorry to cut you off, but I guess speed and predictability are important factors, right? Like word of mouth takes time. You know, I mean, you're going to wait for people to be engaged in a community, then have them talk about you, and then have somebody ready to actually listen to what they have to say, and then have them ring up and book in. There's a lot of things there that are out of your control in word of mouth. Whereas, you know, with marketing, you want speed, you want to run a campaign, have people turn up, and then you want predictability. You want to be able to actually say, if I make this tweak here, it's going to affect my and so yeah, sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no. So that's a really good point. And I almost disagree with that as well. So
Okay.
with that, word of mouth, like is a massive thing to get referrals, but it's most people do not have a referral strategy. They're like, I just hope someone refers someone. Great. So you don't have a referral strategy. You are not a referral clinic. You're a hope and pray clinic.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what most people say. No, we're referral based. Tell me your strategy then. Oh, well, when someone comes in, we hope they bring someone else. Great. So you haven't got a strategy. You hope and pray. We can't grow a clinic based on hope and pray. So when someone comes in as a new client into your clinic, this is where you can have a really simple referral strategy, which is almost, it's not guaranteed, but nothing in advertising is. But when someone comes in and you're going through an initial consultation and they decide to start a care plan with you, people are most excited at that point of purchase. So we need to make the most. So if there was you, I'd be like, hey, Sami, I'm really looking forward to achieving X, Y, and Z with you. Do you know anyone else who you can just give me two friends' details who would love to just come in and get an understanding on what is going on so we can get to the root cause of their issue? That's it. And then at that point, people are generally in the frame of saying, yeah, I do actually. Great. What's their details? And I'll just give them a quick call. Can you just shoot them a quick text message to say, Sammy's going to be giving you a call? Whatever, something like that as well. So then we can make referrals much more predictable, especially when we link it with in-clinic promotions. For example, in-clinic promos, we can do this for recognizing your clients. So with Valentine's Day coming up, for example, it's a great time of year to run an in-clinic promo where you're just recognizing your clients. You're just saying thanks. But also in-clinic promos are a great way in which you can get referrals. And we create like prize draws. You can do loads of different things to generate more referrals. You can generate more talks. You can generate more events. You can generate more Google reviews. You can do so much by using these in-clinic events as well, which is where having a vast array of different marketing that you are doing makes it way more predictable because things go up and down. We are in January right now, and we've just come out of Q4, which is the golden quarter for e-commerce. So therefore, Facebook advertising, Google advertising becomes way more expensive because all the e-commerce, all the retail people are just pushing their ads in the lead up to Christmas. Whereas now ads are starting to become cheaper again. And this is just the cycle that we go through. Maybe we go through over winter time. There's less people outside doing different events. So we can't go to the farmers markets where they're as busy and things like that as well. Therefore, we need to make a more of a stable way from going to maybe different talks that we do for local sports teams, businesses, organizations. So if we've got this different mixture, we're not reliant on one source of marketing, and therefore clinic growth can be that much more predictable because we've got 4, 5, 6 channels of marketing that we know are going to be on and working throughout the year. And Facebook ads we may turn down come Black Friday up until Christmas, but then we're going to ramp it up again. But then during that time, we're going to do more talks, or we might do an in-clinic promotion. It's things like that. That's how a clinic should be running. Now, I will caveat that with saying that's like what we did in our clinic. We were multi-million-dollar clinics. We had several clinics. We had lots of practitioners. I had a marketing assistant as well. So we were a big clinic, like we grew to that as well. So we could spend the time to focus on these different areas. When you are a solo practitioner, you've just opened up your own clinic, don't spread yourself too thin and say, I'm going to do an in-clinic promo. I'm going to go and do talks. I'm going to go and do farmers markets. I'm going to do Facebook ads. I'm going to do Google ads. So you haven't got the time or the money to be able to do that well. So focus on vital few rather than trivial many.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to take a quick moment to thank everyone for watching and listening to the podcast. If you have received value from this episode, the kindest thing you can do for me is to like, share, follow, and subscribe to the channel on whichever platform that you are listening on. If any of the conversations have resonated with you and you feel that I can help elevate your practice, you can find me at successinpractice.net. That is, the Success in Practice program can be found at successinpractice.net. The Success in Practice program is the signature program that takes a practitioner who may be struggling with retaining patients. They may not be certain about building effective treatment strategies, and they may feel somewhat anxious and doubtful about what they are going to do with a patient. And they are not really accelerating in the real world of private practice. It takes this practitioner and it turns their careers right around to the point where the patients have an effective diagnosis and a real treatment plan that they can take home. Patients are happy to book in multiple sessions with you, and they are confident about your abilities. And more importantly, you now have direction and are confident about your own abilities. The program streamlines how you operate as a practitioner. Guys, you should have been taught this at university, but you weren't. You may have been practicing for the last few years thinking there has to be a better way. There has to be a more effective way of engaging with patients and getting them results. Well, there is. And this is what the program delivers. Go to successinpractice.net and check out the options available to you. See where I can help you easily grow your patient list and finally earn the rewarding income that you deserve. For all the information on how you can reach me personally, check out the show notes. Also in the show notes, you'll find a link to the chat transcripts from these podcasts. These are valuable and a wealth of information. I really hope that you're enjoying the podcast. Guys, leave a comment if there's any questions on this episode. And please, don't forget to like, share, follow, and subscribe to the channel. Now, back to the show. So that, I guess that's your advice there. That leads me to my next question. That's your advice for startup clinics. So when you're starting, look where the best bang for your buck is, and that's where you put your money. Can you extrapolate on that? I mean, I'll give you a little case study. It's a startup clinic. I've been practicing for 5 years. I've honed in my skill set. I want to go out on my own. I've got a little place, 2 rooms, maybe a virtual receptionist. I'm ready to work 3 or 4 days a week and want to spend 1 day looking at my marketing and my sales and so forth. Where would I put my hard-earned money into? Like, what's my strategy going to look like there, Elliot?
Yeah. So this is the exact same launch process that we did with our brand new clinic when we opened that. But I've also taken a bunch of other clinics. So Ash, he's in Melbourne. He did this, and for opening day in his brand new clinic, he had 52 new patients booked in for brand new clinic. We also did it with Dakota, and he had 70 new patients booked in for opening day. So you can get really good results pretty quickly by following a plan. But before we even get to that, and this is what I am currently working with someone as well, or have been working with them, because they came to me and they wanted to know where they should open their clinic, because we've got to think about that. Most
Mm,
people will be an associate and think, I've got dreams of opening my clinic. I can just work 5 minutes down the road, and they may be in a super saturated area. I say saturated, quote unquote, because I don't really believe on that. But they may have a clinic on each corner, another like physio, chiro, osteo clinic on each corner. They may be just doing it out of convenience. And then they start wanting to grow and run ads. And they're like, oh man, this is pretty expensive running ads. Hey, we should have done research. So before you even open a clinic or think about opening a clinic, just run some ads to see where it's cheaper to get a cost per lead. How easy is it to get hold of these people? And how likely are they to actually book in? Really
mm.
simple test. I have personally done this with someone recently, and we can see the data and say, from a marketing perspective, this place is way better. And
You
this
could,
is the thing which I get to
yeah,
see.
you could layer that as well on top. I think Google have a way that you could see where searches for the most popular keywords are coming from. And
Yeah.
so you could layer that on top of that too. And then when you start seeing that there are areas where there are popular Google searches for back pain or osteopaths or whatever, you layer that on top of what you've just said. That will then start to give you an idea of a better place to open your clinic, because if there's low cost per lead and low supply of therapists, and a demand because people are typing these searches from that area, that is pretty much pointing you to somewhere where you could potentially grow a very successful clinic pretty quickly. Would that be correct?
100%. And this is the thing which then when the thing which I get to see is I get to see clinics literally right across the world. We got clinics from New
Mm,
Zealand to Hawaii and everything in between. And when people say my cost per lead is more than so and so's, I'm like, yeah, it's just a different area.
mm,
Some places are more expensive, and people who have got several clinics will see this, that their inner city may be more expensive than their rural. And they could, and I say rural, it could just be like suburb, a different suburb. That's it. Like, and
mm,
this is the benefit which I get to see. And then they're like, oh, these people convert better as well. I'm like, great. It's just what happens. It's just geographically it will change. So that's what I would do first off in terms of when you're actually looking to set up a clinic is go based upon business wise rather than ease. It may be
mm.
5 minutes down the road, but if it's going to cost you 10 times more to run that clinic, no bueno, no fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So we got to make it much easier. But once you've got the place, you've got things set up, it's just following a clinic launch plan, which is having things in place to know when you're going to start running Google ads, when you're going to start running Facebook ads, when you're going to start doing events and talks and things like that as well. You've got to have this plan in place, which generally, on average, I start this off 12 weeks prior. With that is get an email set up. We start doing events and talks 8 weeks prior because people are happy to wait. People will book in. And if you bring them along in the process, being you're showing them the new clinic opening, like you're getting the flooring down, like I'm still practicing associate, but I'm leaving. So people are really happy to be coming along on that journey and wait that time. And then we start running ads 4 weeks prior, and people are happy to wait because, again, you're going to be bringing them on. It's really exciting. Like you're opening this brand new clinic. And then by opening day, that's when you can be busy. But it's having a plan in place to focus on in-person and online digital aspects. But like I said, don't spread yourself too thin and think I'm going to do in-person markets and talks and all these different things. And then I'm going to do Google ads and Facebook ads. It's just focus on what's going to get you best bang for your buck, which is why digital wise, I focus on Facebook ads first off. And in person, you may not be happy with doing talks. So go and do some different events or vice versa. Is have this plan in place though and just implement that.
Right. I want to stay with the startup clinic for a little bit, but I want to just shift over because you've talked about kind of a startup clinic. Let's talk about maybe a new associate or a new osteopath that's coming on board to an existing team. Um, they're gonna. I mean, how? Let's say, obviously, you've just talked about having a plan in place to get the clinic ready so that on opening day they've got patients booked in. As an osteopath hiring somebody who's about to start with me, what is the strategy for me to make sure that on day one that person has has patients ready to book in for them?
Yeah. And this is what we did as well. And I've again taken other clinics through this too. But when we did this, so we had new practitioners coming on board, new associates coming on board. And we went from 0 to 200 adjustments a week within 8 weeks. I think it was like 7 weeks and 4 days. So we managed to ramp up a huge number of actual people in care plans pretty quickly. And essentially it's just following the same process. With this though, you've just got to manage between booking new people in for right now for the current associates, practitioners that you've got right now versus actually booking it out from booking in advance. So the way in which we generally do this, we'll look for people who are maybe acute, and then we're going to book them in for right now. But then people who have maybe had their issue a little bit longer, which we know about from our marketing, then that's when we can book them out a little bit further. But essentially, you're still going to run the same plan. You're still going to do the new clinic launch plan, but we're just going to focus it around a new associate coming on board and then how we can build up into that. But it's still following the same process. You just will need to potentially increase the marketing spend for these events or for Google ads or Facebook ads, whatever you've chosen at that time to then be able to build up to it.
Yeah. Okay. And I guess then sticking with the startup, let's say we've launched our clinic, we've got some people through the door. What will then our strategy look like as we move into our first year of operation? Like, what am I then? I've got some good ad experience. The ads are set up well. I can kind of turn them on and off like a tap. They might need a little bit of tweaking. We obviously look at the numbers. We see what's working, what's not. We change a few things. But once I get them right, looking into that first 6-month period and then that first year, am I going down the space of getting my SEO sorted out? Am I going down the space of getting my Google, profile sorted out, getting AdWords happening as well so that there's more, Facebook ads, is you finding people. Google is people finding you. So, tell us about that first year strategy rather than that launch strategy.
Yeah, so it just depends. It's just going by the numbers. As simple as it is, we just got to track the numbers and do more of what works and less of what doesn't. That's it. So if we are finding Facebook is working really well for right now, awesome. Let's just keep working Facebook until it stops working as well. And then you may move on to putting more spend into Google. So when we look at Google versus Facebook, I'm a big fan of both. Like, we ran both. I'm a big fan. I don't want people to think I'm just Facebook or just in person or anything like that. It should be you are using a mixture. But when we look at both of them, like you said, Google is more people are searching for you, and Facebook, we are more going out to people. The way in which we really look at that from a marketing perspective is we've got 5 stages of awareness. I think it was Eugene Schwartz who first said this. But from a Google perspective, then we've got people who are more problem aware. So the 5 stages of awareness, or we've got people who are unaware about osteopathy. They're unaware about an issue that they may have or anything like that. Then we've got people who are problem aware, people who are solution aware, people who are product aware, and people who are most aware. So on Google, we got people who are problem/solution aware. They are going on and they are searching back pain near me, or they're going osteo near me, whatever they're going to be doing like that. So they're problem/solution or product aware. Whereas on Facebook, we're getting more people who are higher up in the funnel, who are maybe unaware, or they're problem aware, but they're just unaware of any solution or what they could do, or maybe they've just been dealing with this for a long period of time that they just keep putting it off. And this is where people will say, I remember I went to a big healthcare, I think it's the biggest one in the UK, event last year before. And the woman there, she was marketing, and she said, when you hurt your back, you don't go on Facebook and start scrolling for the nearest osteo. You go onto Google and you search osteo near me, or you search back pain near me. Yes, you 100% do. Google's amazing.
Yeah.
Do Google ads. However, with that, we got a huge portion of the population, massive, a huge portion of the population who are dealing with an ache, pain or niggle, back pain, headaches and migraines, whatever it is, who have been putting it off for years because they deal with it. They take some painkillers. They think it's maybe a new pillow. Maybe they think it's their mattress. They try all these different things. They do not know about osteopathy, or they do not know about like anything that could cause it. Maybe they think it's just drinking more water. I say this to my other half all the time. I'm like, drink more water. And she's like, I just need new glasses. I'm like, you don't, you just need to drink more water. So we're trying to reach those types of people as well, which is where we can go onto Facebook, and when we present the issue that someone may be talking about to them there, then that's much better. So with that, then over the year, we should just be doing more of what works, and then just adding in these other layers the more time that we get. So as you're growing, you should be getting more money. And by doing that, we can then put more money into marketing, and also potentially alleviating more time for you to spend on marketing, which then we can add other channels, being we can add maybe Google ads, we can add anything else. But again, it just depends on where you want to go with the clinic, how many new associates you may want on board. And then it's just delivering that based upon the numbers that we see. The numbers are crucial. I don't do fluffy marketing. No one should. It's go by the numbers, do more of what works, less of what doesn't. That's it.
All right. I guess then to wrap up the startup phase, the question for you now is, you're starting up this clinic, Elliot. Top 3 things you're going to do for the first 12 months. Is it Facebook? Is it Google? Is it website? Is it, where do you, top 3 things, first 3 things on your list of to-do things. What do I need to master? Go.
First, before I even set up a clinic, I'll find a good location for the business. Secondly, run Facebook ads. It is going to be the cheapest and quickest way for you to be able to fill the clinic. Finally, keep people engaged. Do post-purchase marketing. Like the people you get in on board from your Facebook ads, do newsletters, do some in-clinic campaigns. Keep them on board because they're going to refer more people.
Okay, brilliant. All right, I want to move on to, I guess, more established clinics. And I guess if you've had a clinic for over 5, maybe 10 years, you've got a decent base of clients already. But I'm looking to grow the clinic, and I want to take on a few more associates. Where am I? Where am I putting my money into? What are the top 3 places? And then what's my strategy going to look like over the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah.
And what should I've already been doing? Like what should already be in place?
So it's an interesting thing, which I speak with a lot of clinic owners in this position, in that they may have had their clinic for 20, 30 years and they've just relied on word of mouth. And now they're looking to grow because times have changed. So with that, we don't have the data, the historical data to say Google ads work really well. So we could put more money into that. So in that place, again, I would run this based upon, this is a new clinic we're testing. Let's run some Facebook ads and let's get data based upon what we see. And when we look at the data, it's not about the cost per lead or cost per acquisition. It's the micro bits of that to know if an ad is working or not. And then from that, we can make tweaks based upon, it may be the sales process that is not working, being front desk are not doing a good job speaking with these leads. It may be that we may need to increase the lead quality. That does happen. Really simple. We can increase the lead quality through many different methods from marketing. So if we don't have that historical data, I'd say run some Facebook ads first off, because then we can get the data back very quickly. And then we can create a plan moving forwards on where you want to grow to. And if you have got this historical data, or if you've had this clinic for a long period of time, let's run some in-clinic campaigns. You should have a decent number of people in your clinic who are happy to refer people in. So run some in-clinic promotions. They work so well, like really, really well, that people just aren't doing it. And people aren't doing email newsletters as well, which just blows my mind. That should be a staple of every clinic, should run a weekly newsletter, period. And not the typical, oh, we've just got a new practitioner on board. It should be more analogy-based stories about your clinic. We should be keeping in contact with people. That should be an absolute, 100%.
You would suggest weekly? You would suggest weekly on that rather than monthly?
100%. People need to know about you. The biggest myth that people think is that they're going to be bothering someone. They are not. If I said to you, what was the last email that you had of a promotion in your inbox? Most people don't know. Most people don't even know what ad they last saw on social media or on Google. So you're not going to be bothering them. The thing which we found, so I did this, it was one of the first things I implemented in the clinic, is a weekly newsletter. It actually helped us get sales, because this would go out to our leads or people on our nurture sequence, and it would also go out to clients as well. And these weren't pushing people in. It was just stories about how we may be able to help, about different issues, or maybe about different analogies about healthcare that people just didn't understand, because most people really have no idea about osteopathy, chiropractic, even physiotherapy. They've no idea. And this is where people will say, oh, come in for a consultation. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What do I need to wear? Where am I going? Are we doing any? Whereas if I said to you, like, just as an example, come in for a back pain assessment where we're going to lay down and we're going to do a bunch of different tests, you know exactly what is probably going to be happening on that. And that's the thing. It's like we need to help people along in this journey to understand more about osteopathy and what that actually means. What happens? What can I expect from that? What is osteopathy? Like, what do you look at? What people have no idea. So let's help them along in that process.
Yeah, okay. And so mid-level clinics that want to grow, you suggest to really focus in on their client retention, their patient retention, reactivation, and also obviously they should be running Facebook ads if they're not, to gather some data. And so use that data to kind of drive future ads. Where does, I guess, the digital footprint come into that in terms of what should your website look like? What should a good website look like? And then, um, people out there, I mean, you mentioned Facebook ads as being really cost effective, but I don't think anyone at the moment would have a business without a Google page, without a place where people can do reviews and so forth. What should that look like for a mid-level clinic? I mean, what would my Google strategy look like too? Can you speak about those?
Yeah. So for any clinic, you should be updating your Google My Business, period.
Mm.
So that's treating that almost like a social media as well, updating photos, letting people know about your opening times, because that's one of the big things which I see as well is that we've just had the holiday period. People said that their clinics were open all the time. And I speak to them, they're like, oh no, we were shut Christmas Day. Just put
Yeah.
that on your Google. Like people don't. People just completely disregard it and wonder why they're not getting traffic from Google. It's because you can't just set and forget. Keep updating stuff. Google My Business is brilliant. Same with the website. Keep your website up to date. Honestly, I go onto some websites and it's still got all this COVID banner about how they're still implementing like a 2 meter distance, and it's like, and then I see pictures on their social media of them like hugging clients. Just
Yeah.
keep things up to date. Don't be lazy. So with that, it's when I speak to clinics as well about getting websites and things like that. Again, people think they need to outsource it to an agency. Yes, that could work. Most of the time, the website and everything you do should have one focus, which is helping people along their journey to get them booked in. That's
Mm.
all we want to do. If your website is just there as like a nice to have because we need it, it's not going to do anything. It's just a complete waste of time. So if you spent, I spoke to someone the other day and they just spent 20 grand on a new website. I was like, what? Why? So when I was actually in clinic as well, just another story, is we took our website off of WordPress and onto Squarespace. People were like, oh, that's crazy. WordPress is much better. It is, but Squarespace is much easier. So we don't need to rely on someone else just to change
Mm.
someone's picture when we get a new team member on board. So you should just make sure you're keeping all these things up to date. So then when people are searching on Google, they can see that you have written a blog recently and it's not from 5 years ago, your recent one. It's keep it up to date. Just spend a bit of time keeping your Google My Business, keeping your website, keeping things like this up to date so everything works, because you have so much more trust in a business when that works.
Okay, so spend a bit of time keeping your Google up to date. Spend a bit of time keeping your website up to date. You need to put some time into your Facebook ads. You need to put some time into your in-clinic retention. How much time should someone be spending on marketing, Elliot, when you're in that phase, that middle phase? Am I going to get away with, say, 8 hours a week? Is that 8 to 12 hours a week, a full day's worth of work just on marketing? Is that too much? Is that too little? Can you help us out on that question?
Yeah. So it depends on the clinic setup. If it's just you doing the whole lot versus like a front desk, because you can give this to front desk. So we had we had CAs, so we had like CA plus, so we give them tasks to do.
Mm.
Being like, if you've got a front desk team, get them to do your organic social media, get them to update your Google My Business, maybe pay them for an extra hour of work a week. It will make a huge difference to you. So that's what you can outsource. If it's just you, then focus on the thing which is going to get you the most bang for your buck at whatever stage you're at. Being, if you are wanting to grow and you just want to focus on direct response, what is going to get me more patients right now? Focus on your Facebook ads, which really should take an hour a week. It's not
Yeah.
much at all. If we're wanting to grow and spend more time on writing blogs and things, there are so many tools which can help you do that,
Mm.
which are really, really good. I've struggled to beat some of these AI tools which help you write blogs, but people think this writing blog thing needs to be this huge thing. So
Yeah.
really, when we're looking at this growth stage, you can get a lot done in 4 hours of focused time. If you really want to grow
Yeah.
and start building out this team because you're wanting to grow more clinics and things like that, give it a whole day's worth of attention.
And this is, I guess, the perfect time for somebody to team up and hook up with somebody like Elliot. I mean, the startup phase is obviously important for those people. I think Elliot will be perfect, someone who would be able to help you. His school group and the classroom that he's set up there is very, very good. And I guess if you're in that middle phase, if you want to reduce the amount of time going on YouTube and trying to figure out what's going on and what people are doing, if you join somebody like Elliot, who has kind of taken all that information, put it into a classroom, taking you through that step by step, physically showing you how to edit videos, how to run Facebook ads, how to look at the actual, the business side of things, looking at the numbers. It's like someone's already done that, and you could just follow on what he's doing, and you'll learn from that. That's how you're going to save time. I guess if there's money to be spent where you save time, is you learn from people like Elliot who have done it previously and can just show you the quickest, fastest way there. So let me move on, I guess, to then larger clinics who have, 6, 7, 8 practitioners on board, are obviously trying to meet targets to make sure that because, clinics aren't cheap to run, they're expensive. And the more people you have, the more room you need, the more demand is for patients coming in. Now I've got a bigger marketing budget. I've obviously got some Facebook ad experience. How am I running this now? What am I doing to kind of take this to the next level and make sure that this team that I've set up of osteopaths or chiropractors or whoever I'm dealing with are constantly full, and that if we lose somebody and have to bring someone new on board, we can kind of adjust to that as well.
Yeah, so it's adding more channels, because the other thing that we fight with is we are hyper local. We have a brick and mortar physical location, so we cannot go national. Therefore, if you start smashing Facebook ads all the time, people get fed up of seeing the same message, especially if you don't change the offer. Same with Google ads is slightly different. We can just keep that running a lot of the time and start making tweaks as you go along. But it's adding more channels, being go out and do some events. Over the summer, it's a great time to be able to go out to fairs, fetes, festivals, things like that, and get yourself out at the market. Because one thing which a lot of clinics don't want to do is to do things like that, but they generate really great clients. And again, you are in a community. It's great to get out and be part of the community, so you can actually talk to someone about osteopathy, and it helps them in the journey. And you may not get that lead right there and then, but they may talk to their mother, their brother, whoever else it is, who's maybe dealing with some issue at the moment, who could do with your services. So it's adding more channels into the mix, which then becomes a thing of managing that. Being, if you've got an event or a few events, 3 events potentially every week, then that's where it's the hard thing of managing it. It's getting talks in as well. So I like doing talks in businesses, organizations, so sports teams, things like that as well. So you do have this mix, and making sure you've got a marketing calendar for knowing when you're going to be doing an in-clinic promotion and what you want that to look like as well. So you've got this mix of all these different marketing channels in place. That's what, for clinics who are looking for really anything over 50 to 60 new patients per month, that's what we should have in place.
Yeah, okay. So I guess the key takeaway from that is you need to be really engaged in the community. Your brand has to be part of the community. They need to see you out there. That should be, you should be trying to keep front of mind, I guess, as much as possible. And it's assumed that you've got a good Facebook ad strategy. It's assumed you've got a good Google ad strategy. It's assumed you've got SEO that's been running for a while. Google should really have mapped you out by now and see you as somebody who is in the community and a place that people can go to solve their problems. Um,
And I
so
would say
yeah,
one other thing I would just say with that is just make sure, and goes for every clinic, just do the basics first before thinking about doing anything else. Before you even think about running a Facebook ad or even going to a farmer's market, whatever it is. And by the basics, like I said, is keeping your Google My Business up to date, keeping in contact with your current clients, and posting on social media. Whether you like it or not, that is the world we live in right now. And I speak with clinics all the time. I look at the website and it's outdated. I look on their social media and they've not posted in 6 months. And I say, "Are you even open?" They're like, "Yeah,
mm,
post
mm.
on social media. It's not hard. Just really simple."
Right. So I guess okay. Let me ask you a question about that. Then, when you say post on social media, in terms of like a post that would be a fun post versus a informational post. Like, how much should we? I mean, should we be looking at, say, one or two posts a week? One of them should be something to do with the clinic that's a bit more fun. One of them should be, informational. Would that be enough? Would that something that could work, or would you have any other suggestions?
Yeah. In its most simplest form, I say 3 posts a week. Some
Right.
people may be like, "That's a lot." It will take you 10 minutes to do, if that. The 3 posts, how we break them down. First is a client review. All you're going to do is screenshot a Google review from one of your clients and post it on social media. Simple. That will take 30 seconds. The good thing with that, it also forces you to get more Google reviews. If you've only got 5, you're going to run out in 5 weeks' time. It forces you to speak to more clients and get more reviews. Win-win. The second one is an information post. Talk about osteopathy. What is it? How can it help? How can it help someone who's pregnant? How can it help an elderly person? How can it help a baby? How can it so many different areas. But keep it simple. Don't start talking about the thoracic spine, and just simple.
Yeah.
The other one is just going to be a fun one. It may be you with your arm around a client. It may be you with your front desk. It may be you, whatever it is, like laying on a
Yeah.
bench. Just make it fun. Really simple. 3 posts, done.
Yeah. Done. Okay. Good advice. Great advice. Okay. So I guess one of the things I want to ask you about, I know that you and I have been doing some things, well, I've been taking your lead and doing some things with Facebook ads, but I want to ask you about, Google, ads and SEO versus Facebook ads. We've briefly talked, and correctly, you've said that Facebook ads are more to do with us finding the client, whereas Google ads are more the client finding us because they have a problem or a solution that they're looking for. Um, I guess with these social media companies, when we're talking about Google, we're talking about Meta or Facebook. How are they? How are they evolving? And how can we be up to date in terms of understanding their platforms and I guess how to utilize the best out of both of those? Like, Google ads might work in a certain way, but then Google goes and says, well, we're going to be focusing on, information quality versus, the quantity of information now in the next quarter. Where does all that stuff get released, and how quickly do they release that? And then, yeah, like, can you talk to us about that, the changes that these companies do and how that affects the ads that we run, Google and
Yeah.
Facebook?
Yeah. So there's changes all the time on every platform, especially now with AI. Things are accelerating very quickly. For example, on Google, a lot of people put the time into SEO, like this search engine optimization. However, now call it AIEO, AI engine optimization, which is you go onto Google and now you search osteo near me or something like that, and then it will come up with an AI assistant at the top. So
Right.
I may search in there, can an osteo help with back pain? And it would come up with the AI assistant right at the top before the ads. So it is scanning the data on the website to get as much information to quickly help the user. being someone who has back pain, understanding if an osteo can help. So this is where we've got to make the information on your website easy to read for a search engine to be able to look at it, scan it, and understand like more about osteopathy, or if you are someone local who can help and things like that as well. And also then we've got to think of that with Google Ads, using Google as an example as well. And one of the key things that is happening now with AI is we can be super, super specific in how we target people, because the way in which all of these platforms do, they just learn from all these other results and the type of person. So we could literally have, I know a company who is doing this with their ads, you can be very, very specific. And I could say, for example, like as a parent struggling with back pain in Brisbane, or we could be even more specifically, as a parent struggling with back pain in Brisbane, in Manly, Brisbane. Like we can be super, super specific with that as well. So these platforms are evolving all the time, and the rate of change is fast and is probably only going to get faster. And this is why it is important to stay up to date, because if you do let your social media or your Google ads or whatever just as a set and forget type thing, you will very quickly get left
Yeah.
behind.
And so is this where somebody like you comes in handy, Elliot? Like, I mean, we talked about agencies and I guess how they could become burdensome or I guess stale. Is this where somebody like hooking up with somebody like yourself that could kind of, you don't obviously cost as much as an agency costs. And I guess you're not doing the work for us. You're showing us how to do the work, and that's what keeps your costs down. But I guess is this a good kind of way to leverage your knowledge? Are you up to date with all this is this your job? Is this your focus, kind of staying up to date with what they're doing, what those platforms are doing?
This is my whole thing, is to get the information and distill it down into clinics to know what is working right now. Period.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
The good thing which we get to do is I get to see this across hundreds of clinics across the world, and also get to test it in various clinics as well. So then when I release information to people, the whole point is it is information that's been tested and proven, and it is working right now. And this is why I get to test it in different markets, whether it's rural, over in the US, in Australia, in Europe. Like we get to test across the world, and that is the good thing of it. But I'm not here to preach and say to everyone. I am obviously massively biased, but it's just you need to know, and you can do that by going on YouTube. You can search all these videos, and you can look at the releases on Facebook or Google and stuff like that. Absolutely fine. That's great. Go and do that if that's what you want to do. You can go to an agency. Amazing. And hopefully that agency stays up to date as well, which they should do. Or you can learn it for yourself and actually take ownership of the growth as well, rather than renting the growth out. That's my key part of it.
Yeah, look, I think you're right about all that. The issue is time. I mean, that always comes back to time. I can go on YouTube and watch a half an hour video on what's going on with Google. But if I don't have the time and you're doing it, and I can just follow what you're doing, and I know that you've got a track record of doing it well, and you've tested it across hundreds of clinics across the world, that makes my attempt at execution a little bit more likely to succeed. So that's where I'm coming from with that. I think it's not that I'm anti-agency or I guess, I tried to do it on my own, and I just found it way too cumbersome. And that's why I find that your particular service, Elliot, is like all the good stuff that you get from agency without all the baggage that you have to, because I can stop it whenever I like. And I've already learned stuff that I could implement. Like I could stop doing what I'm doing with you now, and I've already learned enough where I can go and make some money. But you keep providing value, and so we keep kind of going, oh, okay, look, go high level. Let's do that. That's great. Now I've got something where I can hook into, I get my Facebook ads into something. It can nurture the leads for me. You can kind of keep things up to date. So yeah, that's just an example of what's going on. I want to ask you about, I guess, some of the actual ads that you're seeing out there. Can you highlight some of the differences between, simple, successful ads versus some that may cost more money, and aren't as efficient? What are some of the common mistakes that you're seeing clinics make when you see some ads and you go, oh my God, these clinics could be doing so much better. Tell us about some of that.
Hello everyone, just a quick break to give you some information on where to best find me. The first place is the private Facebook group called the Successful Practitioner Pathway. I've set up this private group as a place where practitioners can go and get tips and advice on how to best accelerate their practice and improve their clinical practice skills. The second place to find me is at successinpractice.net. That is where the Success in Practice signature program is housed. You can find more information about me and how I can best help you achieve success in your practice. So, the two best places, the private Facebook group, the Successful Practitioner Pathway, and successinpractice.net. I will link to both those places in the show notes, so for more information, please see the show notes. Now, enjoy and back to the show.
Yeah. So when we look at that, this is one of the things that when I speak with a new clinic and they say, can you show me some examples of ads? I'm like, what are you going to compare it against? Because we need to understand the core principles of running ads first before we make judgments on it. So what needs to happen in an ad is we need to build trust. People need to know and trust, or you need to remove all risk for them. That's it. That we need to give them a solution on how you can do this. And also we need to stop people in their tracks. So how do we do this? And to answer your question really then, what are some good and bad versions of that? Bad versions are people think that they can go on Canva and just get some stock images or just some images of them in the clinic and things like that, put it into a Canva template and run some ads, and then get annoyed when they don't. They get a lot of clicks and no one actually becomes a new lead or something. You've not put any time to build trust or give people or remove risk on, or actually stop people in their tracks as they're scrolling through social media. And this is one of the key parts of it. So when we do this, one of the key things which I always say is we need to stop people in their tracks. Like we need to get the hook, because people say like attention spans decreased over the last 20 years and so. I disagree with that. Only because you can speak to anyone else watching a series on Netflix and they binge watch it. They're like, I've watched 3 episodes of whatever it is tonight. And they don't look at their phone. They are super engrossed. So it's not attention spans decreased. It's that the fight for our attention has increased. So we've just got to make better content or stop people or get their attention in better ways. The way in which I typically get people to do that is you're just going to do this in a highly recognizable local location. That's it. People instantly see that. They instantly recognize that's part of my town. I recognize that place. Super easy. Then you're just helping people overcome an issue or explain how you could help overcome an issue. That's it. Really simple. What a lot of clinics do as well is they will do this in their clinic because they're super proud of it, or they're just outside their clinic. They're super proud of it. And you should be super proud of your clinic, because it's really hard work setting up a business. I've done a brick and mortar. It is hard work, but in the nicest way, no one else cares.
Yeah.
So we're not going to stop someone in the tracks if you're sat in your clinic at your desk because you're super proud of it. And I say this because an ex-colleague of mine who worked at the clinic that I worked at went and set up on his own, and I used to see all of his ads, and he would be sat in his clinic, sat in his chair. I was like, we're not stopping people. And that's one of the key things is people think just by going on to Canva and getting some stock images or filming this in their clinic or being scared of doing videos and things like that, and then getting frustrated with the results and saying, ads don't work for me. It's not the case. We need to know what part has or has not worked as well.
All right, Elliot, I want to stop you there for a little bit and just test you a little bit, I guess, on this. Let's say we're not going to use that approach, the local landmark approach. How can we stop people in their tracks just by the things that we say? I mean, you could say something that's a little bit more controversial, or can you give us some tips on that? Like, let's say somebody doesn't really, I mean, I remember the ad that I did for one of my clinics was in front of the stadium, and so that worked well. But I'm struggling to find other landmarks that are really out there and recognizable, and I don't want to keep running that same ad. What are some other strategies that I could use to hook people with either the things that I say or the things that I do? I've seen this on some ads with people kind of it may not be for healthcare, but I have seen other ads that aren't location based that do a really good job of hooking you in. They've hooked me in. So tell us about that. Tell us about some other strategies other than the local landmarks.
Yeah, so the local landmarks is the first one we run because it's super easy to do and you get instant results very quickly. There are other ways because, as an example, myself, when you got hooked into my stuff, I'm not in Sydney. I just can't suddenly start running these ads.
Yeah,
and
you
be
had
like,
one like making a coffee, and there was one where you're jumping into a river, and it was just like really
Weird.
random stuff.
Yeah. So the way which we do that, then there's many different ways to run these ads. And again, this is where we come to the 5 stages of awareness with this. I said about earlier, but typical and really easy things that you can do is break a belief. That's it, like really simple. So on the ones that maybe you saw, like ones which I personally run are like, I break a belief, being that you don't need an agency, you don't need fancy equipment, you don't need the typical things that you may think you need to fill your clinic. Other ones that you can do is contrarian views as well, being like, what can you say that really separates you from what everyone else does? So one that we run in the clinic as well was we were talking about sleep, and because we had this big thing in the local area at that time talking about the perfect sleep position, and one of the ads that we ran was it's not your mattress, it's not your pillow, and it's not even your sleeping position, which is what's causing your back pain. And it was just these contrarian views, and they're super simple things that you can do, and you can, in this instance, use Canva templates and just make it really, really simple, because for right now, and this changes all the time, that is what is working. So if everyone wants a real quick tip that they can go out and do today, create an ad, white background, black text, contrarian view on Canva, and run it. You may think that is way too easy. Yes, it is. The whole point is when we run these ads, we don't want them to look like ads. So just do something like that, and it works really, really well. Call out the market, contrarian view, or break a belief, and you will get more clicks.
Great. Good advice. Okay. I guess then back to what we originally asked about some of the ads that maybe aren't as efficient. Can you comment on some of the ads that I guess try to fix everything all in one go? I mean, how important is it to stick to one problem?
Yeah, hugely. With marketing, all we're trying to do is to help, like I said, build trust and help people feel understood. If you were to ask my other half, and she says like, this handbag, it was meant to be. They were talking to me as a new mother, like I just had to get it. Like, okay, you do that, babe. But that's the type of thing that we need to do with running these ads as well. Is that when people feel that you can finish their sentences, you understand their issue better than they do themselves. You know what is going to happen next if they do not get this sorted, and if they do get this sorted, they got this full trust in you. So by doing something like that, that is what makes you stand out, because it separates you from everyone else. And I'll touch upon what most other clinics do. When you do that, people will pay you more, they will travel further, they will seek you out because they feel that you understand their issues, and only you, and that you're the perfect person to be able to help them. Because what most clinics do, and this is what I typically see, is they say things like, hey, local area, we can help with back pain, neck pain, headaches, migraine, sciatica, and just start listing everything out. But I always say to clinics, when has someone ever come into your clinic and said, I saw your ad and I'm dealing with every single one of those. I've got headaches and I've got back pain. I've also got sciatica. I've also got shoulder pain and elbow pain all at the same time.
You don't want that patient.
You don't want that patient. If that person came in, you'd be like, there's the door. They would be an absolute nightmare. So all we've got to do is talk about the one issue that they are dealing with, because people don't have many different issues going on. People typically have one main issue that they have and want fixed, first of all. And I always frame this as when we look at these big companies as well, and the reason why I always refer back to big companies is because they're big companies for a reason. They've done something good to be able to get there. When we look at a company such as Nike, as an example, you don't see Cristiano Ronaldo in the same ad as LeBron James, in the same ad as, I don't know, someone like Shaun White, and we can be like, we're Nike. We do soccer stuff, we do basketballs, we do skiing, we do snowboarding, we do running. They just say, Cristiano Ronaldo's got these new football boots and they're being released. They focus on that one product. And that's what we should be able to do, is focus on one ad with one problem and help someone feel understood. Is the key part of it in advertising.
Yeah, great. Okay. I want to shift the conversation over to AI. Tell us what AI is doing in this space at the moment with the social media companies, but also in terms of actually helping people run ads and putting ads together. I know that it's your business is kind of focusing a little bit more on that with what you're doing with your brother as well. But can you tell us where AI is taking us in this space? And then how can we leverage it to really help us be authentic?
Yeah. People are scared of AI a lot of the time, which I find, and it's just because they don't know and they see typical stuff and they may just go on ChatGPT and use it instead of Google these days and don't understand how we can best use it in the business. But it is absolutely phenomenal, and the next few years will be like absolutely life-changing. It is incredible. The best way in which I am seeing clinics using this right now is just for simplicity, from like making contact with leads. So when they're running ads, or that from a marketing perspective, it's just building up that trust through AI conversations. So
Like
I
chatbots? Are you talking about chatbots and
yeah, so
messaging bots?
SMS, WhatsApp messages with a chatbot with an AI assistant on there. Now, a lot of people, they hear that and think, oh, that's super scary. It's just because you don't program in the right information to teach the chatbot. You don't, when you get like a front desk person on board, you probably don't sit there and think, oh God, this person, what are they going to say? Like they're going to be terrible. It's because you go through, you've got your SOPs for a new front desk person coming on board. Just give that to your chatbot as well. And then it can learn more about osteopathy. It can learn more about your clinic. It can learn everything that you give it to it way better than a front desk person, and way quicker too. And therefore you've just got to train it. And that is the way which I'm seeing that is working for right now, working the best in terms of just being able to create this flow. Because let's say you're a solo practitioner in your clinic and you can't get hold of leads as quickly, is put chatbot in. Or maybe people are just asking you general questions. Just put a chatbot in. It makes it really, really good. We've got some clinics doing this with phone calls as well, so inbound phone calls, and they are booking clients in with inbound phone calls. It's amazing. So that's where, for right now, I'm seeing the best things for it. However, there are huge changes that are coming out. With a company like Facebook, for example, Meta are building their super AI team. So they are spending hundreds of millions, if not billions really on this, because they are buying companies that are getting the best talent in to make AI a huge part of this. Same with Google. Google's valuation, the owners of Google are like second richest people in the world right now because of the amount of AI work that these companies are putting in. It's phenomenal, and we will only see more changes quickly over the next few months. And it's to leverage that in clinic. Don't get scared of it, because for right now, people think, oh, I might just create some organic social media posts from it. And honestly, like the ones which I see, it just looks terrible. But
Okay.
soon we will be able to do that. And soon we can leverage that stuff like that way better.
And how much of, I guess, have you integrated AI into your platform? And what I mean by that is, are you teaching that what you've just talked about now? Is that something that you've introduced into your classroom in your particular program? How much can people expect to learn if they decide to work with you? Will that be integrated into what they're going to learn?
Yeah, good question. So yes, it's a massive part, because it is such a big part of going forwards with your clinic as well. So
Yeah.
like I said, my brother does this with me. He's the AI automation expert. He's actually based in Brisbane. But from his corporate role, he actually had the likes of Google, Microsoft as his clients, which he was helping with this. So that's where he takes on all this side of it, because it is such a big part. Like I said, we get all this set up on Go High Level for a lot of people are using that or have an understanding of it, but it's basically an all-in-one CRM, email automation, funnels, landing pages. It's an awesome system. It is absolutely incredible. Within that, their AI agents they've got in there are getting way better every single week. And that is what we show for the automation system. in there, is leveraging their AI agents in that. And yes, we show you how to do all of that. And there's just going to be more coming out on that this year because it's changing so fast.
Elliot, I know that you work with many clinics across many different countries. What are some of the main platforms, I guess the practice management softwares that you see out there? I mean, I use Clinico, and I know a lot of my colleagues here in Australia use Clinico. There's a couple of popular ones here for allied health, Clinico being one of them. Um, are they moving in that space as well in terms of, because I began to use Go High Level, and I've barely scratched the surface of it in terms of using it with what you've been teaching us to do. Um, but I guess to have a proper integration with Go High Level, with Clinico, having that all tying together and have some things automated as best as we can. What would you recommend if people are looking for practice management software? How am I going to assess a PMS to suit my needs as a clinic owner in terms of marketing?
Yeah, it's simplicity really. So Clinico, let's take that as an example. Great software, but we you need to go through a third party to connect it into Go
Yeah,
High Level at the moment, which is a bit annoying.
it
You've got
is.
other companies such as like JNAP as well. They're very tight. They don't release their API, so it's very hard to integrate.
Mm.
Which is it's a really weird thing that they don't do because in the like general population, when we look in any other market, it's a necessity. We do need that sort of thing.
I
Um,
asked this question because I've found that too, and I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that and any other experience on it, because I have found the PMS softwares for clinics have been quite kind of like sheltered with their
yeah,
API, with what they release, and then how much they're integrating AI. And I hear a lot of the excuses coming out in terms of security, but I don't know enough about it to kind of formulate and say or argue with them or whatever. But I mean, you see a lot of it. Can you give us your point of view on that?
yeah. So the one which I've personally used and has seen best work is Practice Hub. That works really well because it links directly into Go High Level. It's super easy. It's a really good one. I've personally found it really easy for actually in a clinic as well. It works really well. Um, but in terms of like going forwards and like I understand when they say like it's a security thing because sometimes we hold data, being people's medical records, on file, and yes, we don't want all of that shared, and we want it locked in. However, you can limit what is shared back and forth too. So I don't understand. The thing with healthcare, as you probably know as well, is like it's very slow on the uptake of these new things coming in place, which interestingly is very opposite of clinic owners. I find a lot of clinic owners are very progressive in what they want and what they are searching for. Being a lot of them want to use AI and they want to be using it to its full capabilities, and that was actually one of the things that really surprised me when I got into healthcare space was how
Because
progressive clinic
yeah,
owners are with that.
we just want a treat. like
Yeah,
like we don't want to be doing all this stuff. We want a treat. So if you
yeah,
tell us there's something that will do it for us, like give it to me, But
yeah.
the problem is we've got some walls up in front of us that don't allow us to integrate quickly. You know.
And that is a big frustration, and that's what I think these companies need to change. Otherwise, you will get, which maybe I should do, people starting software where they open it up and it integrates so much more readily and easily these days.
Hmm. I find that the practice management software side of things, like I was always looking for a solution that was a marketing platform that had a practice management software solution, whereas a lot of them are practice management software with little bits of marketing added onto it.
Yeah, but
Um,
ultimately you could run your Go High Level as your practice management software because
yeah,
you could do
right.
it all through the booking. It would just be more clunky
Mm,
to get it set up versus the current stuff that is out there.
yeah, right. All right. Well, I mean, I'm really glad that you spoke to us about all this. I think it's been very educational to the listeners. Where can people reach you, Elliot?
So the easiest way is to find me on school. So if you come
Yep.
onto my school, you can reach me on there. I'm sure there'll be a link in this podcast
Yep.
as well. You
I'll
can go
I'll
to
link
my
to
school
that.
group.
I'll put a link in the show notes for people that want to reach out to Elliot and have a chat to him. I found him to be very personable and quite easy to talk to. Elliot is somebody who is really keen to help you as a clinic owner, and ultimately, I found that the process was very relaxed. And when I first spoke to you, you were somebody who just laid it out for me and allowed me to make the decision that best fit my clinic. So thank you for that. And I think that will be most people's experience as well. So yeah, I'll link to Elliot in the show notes. But he's on School. It is a school platform. That platform has been quite easy for me to use. And so, yeah, I would highly recommend that if you're interested in talking to Elliot, click the link in the show notes and get onto that pretty quickly. Elliot, is there anything else you want to share with us before we wrap it up to today?
No, just the main thing really is like I always say with this, my whole aim of helping people and understanding their marketing, my whole aim is to help you help more people.
Great.
That's it. The
That's
way in
it.
which we can do that, that's what will depend upon your clinic. People think I'm just going to be Facebook ads and stuff. Let's work out what is going to be best for your clinic, and that is what I want to do. It's just to help you help more people. That's all.
All right. Perfect. All right, everyone. Thank you, Elliot, for joining me tonight. Everyone, thank you for listening in again. Stay with me online, Elliot. But for everyone else, have a good evening. I'll catch you on the next episode.